It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Thanks for joining us, folks. Another very great, interesting show I have for you today. I keep telling you, I learn a lot from these shows, and Dr. David Moylan got my attention about a month ago, and he said, Sam, I got two great people that I'd like for you to talk to. And we interviewed Gregory Wrightstone. You probably saw that show. If you didn't, remember all our shows are on the web, or go to our app, hit Sam Lesante, and it'll take you right to our shows. We have another interesting guest today. I didn't know about this organization until Dave brought it. Ed Martin is here today, and he's the president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. Did I say that right?
You got it right.
I got
Perfect.
it right.
You hit it.
So, Dave, tell me why we have this gentleman on the show today.
It's a long story.
How long do we have?
No, seriously. This evening, we're having the inaugural banquet for the Northeast chapter of Phyllis Schlafly's Eagle Forum.
Okay, let me correct. Now, folks, he's talking about August 21st. So when you say this evening, it's not when you're watching the show, okay? So that's just so you understand. You can't run there tonight, okay? All right, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I don't want to confuse the people.
So, again, we want to establish a grassroots organization in Northeast Pennsylvania that supports the ideals that Phyllis Schlafly had promulgated in her 45-year career as an activist in conservative politics. But, Sam, near to your heart and my heart, she was pro-life. Yeah. And she single-handedly kept the pro-life plank in the Republican platform for 40 years. You were talking about the other side's platform where they have pro-death, But Phyllis was pro-life all the way, and I got to meet her, going back to my run for Congress in 2014. The Eagles had an annual meeting in Philadelphia, and I attended there, saw many magnificent speakers, such as Lieutenant Colonel Alan West,
That's right.
Brian Kilmeade.
Kilmeade was great, yeah.
And last year it was Corey Lewandowski.
Yeah.
They would raise funds, and they would contribute funds to the congressional candidates running that year. Yeah. So I benefited in 2014. But more recently, in 2016, I went out to the Republican National Convention.
That's right.
in
Cleveland.
Yeah. And Phyllis.
Beautiful city.
Yeah. Phyllis was, in decline in her health, and she died 3 months later in September. Donald Trump stopped what he was doing and went to her funeral mass in St. Louis.
That's right.
So. And so, incidentally, Dave is the Schuylkill County Coroner. I'm sure you all know that, but I just want to. So, Ed Martin, thanks for coming on the show. You're the President's Organization.
I am, yeah.
So he tells me a little bit about Phyllis, and we're going to show a little video clip and to put things in perspective. I'm smiling at because I know there's a lot of my viewers who don't agree with the conservative movement. But they're still friends of mine, right, and sure. I respect them, okay? But Ed, tell me about yourself and how you got, because I see, I'm reading your thing, Ed Martin, Missouri politician.
Yeah.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah.
Not funny, but I mean, it's interesting.
Right. Yeah, well, I'm a lawyer, a recovering lawyer.
Yeah,
exactly. I knew you'd like that. Yeah, I'm 100% Italian. I'm just trying to get in good with you. No, I grew up in New Jersey. I moved out to St. Louis to go to law school at St. Louis U. And when I got out there, I started working for the church on the pro-life movement. Then I went and practiced law a little bit, got married, and we have 4 children, my wife and I. And along the way, I did get into politics. I was at the election board in St. Louis, overseeing the elections. I ended up chief of staff to the governor in Missouri, which was an amazing job. We took on Planned Parenthood. There's a lot there. But then I also got to know Phyllis Schlafly, and she was an extraordinary leader nationally, but she was based in Missouri, and she had a local touch. And so I got to know her. Over the years, I worked with her a lot on campaigns, Dave mentioned. And then about 2013, I was made chairman of the Republican Party of Missouri, which is not a paid position. And Phyllis said, why don't you come and work with me? I'll buy half your time, help me do some different things, writing. You're looking at a book that I helped her fine-tune and edit and some other things. And so then I worked with her, and now I'm the president of her organization. She had been the head of it for almost, 70 years in public life. She died at 92. And we do, as Dave said, we build grassroots coalitions of people who agree with our positions, generally conservative, although we had a streak and have a streak for the working people on immigration, on trade, that Trump's embraced, but used to be Democrats were there on that. Yeah. And we build that all across the country. And as Dr. Dave Moylan mentioned, we started a chapter in Northeast Pennsylvania of the Phyllis Schlafly Eagle Forum. What do? Well, we want to figure out the policies, but then we want to know politics. We want to know how the game works, because you can whistle in the dark about some position, but you got to know how to communicate with your fellow man and also with politicians. So as Dr. Dave mentioned, Congressman Muser was with us. Former Congressman Lou Barletta was a great friend and ally of ours. And so that's what we do in our work. And I now live actually in Northern Virginia, because Phyllis opened a D.C. office in '81 to help Reagan. And I thought, we've got to help Trump in office, make him better, by the way. Not, he's not perfect, but help him make him better. And so that's what we're doing. And one of the overriding positions is pro-life. We have to convince our culture, as well as our lawmakers, that we want to live in a world where
You're
abortion
Catholic?
is. Oh yeah, very
okay.
Catholic.
Okay,
yeah.
so here's the interesting thing, and I'm going to get to, and this, some of my fellow friends who are priests get me upset when but here's the interesting thing. They have this big pro-life rally,
Yeah.
right? And the bishops and the cardinals and the priests tell you, you got to be pro-life.
Yeah.
This is the most important thing, and I totally agree. Okay, right. So now at the pro-life thing, and you were there, David, we had President Trump speak. One of the, I don't know when it last spoke, thanking those people for protecting life. I heard nothing from the bishops in the state, and I'm not. I heard nothing from cardinals. I heard nothing from saying, thank you, President Trump, for supporting pro-life.
Right.
That was heartbreaking for me, okay? Not that I'm upset, but I was just concerned. Now we have this person, okay? And I said on my pro-life show, I don't know how anyone could get up in the morning knowing that they're going to go into a clinic and rip little arms and legs. And folks, I'm going to show you a video. And Sammy, play the video. I played this on the pro-life show. I know I upset some people. I don't care. Here's the point. For you Catholics out there and who feel that what you're looking at right now, okay, what you're looking at is an unborn baby, and you see a face, and you see an eye, and you see a nose, and you see arms, and you see legs. The Democrat platform says it's okay to pull those little arms apart and pull them, it doesn't make it, just destroy them, okay? The platform. So with that being said, we're looking at this girl, okay, Phyllis. She had to endure a lot.
Yeah.
Because when you're it's funny how people don't talk to me because I'm pro-life. I'm protecting unborn babies.
Right.
As a Catholic, I want to tell you something. I went to parochial school, and there was a thing that says God created you, okay? Right. Who made you? God created you. You know what, Ed and Dave? I fear for those people when they pass on,
right,
and they have to look at Almighty God and say, yeah, I destroyed your creation. I don't know how you feel about that, but that just rips me apart.
Well, and what you're saying is really Phyllis Schlafly lived that. In her long life, she fought communism in the 40s and 50s, and then she fought ERA, which was a problem in the 70s. She fought for pro-life. She even took on and supported Trump. And as you said, a lot of people attack you when you're willing to stand up for the truth on life. Hey, let me tell you a quick story. This is one of my favorite things to tell. The day that Phyllis Schlafly endorsed Donald Trump, March 11th, 2016, at the Peabody Opera House in downtown St. Louis, in a side room, in a makeup room, me, Trump, and her. And it's the first time, as I recall, that she talked to him on the phone before, but she'd met him. She brought a copy of the platform, to your point, and she said, Mr. Trump, this is Phyllis, 92 years old, at the time 91. She says, Mr. Trump, I spent my life making this platform, Republican platform. It's a 2012 one, right? It's before Cleveland when Dave was there. And she says, I need your help. I've spent my life making it conservative and pro-life. I need your help to keep it strong. And Trump took it from her and said, you have my word. I'll do it. And at Cleveland, when Dave was there, we're working on the platform, because there's lots of forces that want to take they want to gut the platform. They want to be soft and friendly on life, on everything. Trump's team at the convention, they gave us everything on. Phyllis, after that convention, she took a copy of the 2016 platform. She said, this is the greatest platform, pro-life, pro-family, pro-our nation's sovereignty. And at her funeral, I'm very smart. You've already picked that up. But I brought a copy of that platform.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump signed the platform. And I have a copy in Phyllis's office in St. Louis. She signed one and he signed one. But look, the point is, this president, just to say this, she knew what to ask. She knew, I want to ask you. She also asked him, by the way, appoint good judges like Scalia, and he said, I will, and he's done that. As you point out, Trump has had it, you've had it, Dave, me, Phyllis especially. The forces that want to say bad things and attack you, especially on life, they're everywhere. But we know the reward. We know the reason we're doing it, and that's what she believes.
It just fascinates me that we have to defend an unborn baby.
Yeah.
That, give them that opportunity. And then I hear people, who's going to take care of them? And, there's too many people that say, well, don't worry, there's a lot of opportunities. There are people going overseas to adopt children, okay?
That's right.
Ed, when you were there, and I don't, who's perfect? I mean, no one's perfect.
Well,
we all know that. I know, other than you, Ed. And my neighbor across the street, he's an attorney too.
Oh, good. It's very common.
Yeah. But when you were with Trump, okay, I never met him.
Yeah.
Okay, Lou is.
He would have liked you. He would have liked you.
Well,
he will like you. He'll
yeah,
meet you someday.
yeah. But I mean, what did you sense from him?
Well, and look, at this point, again, you can only tell the truth. As you know, people think you're bragging when you tell the truth, like you and me, because we've done so much and we're so successful and handsome. Yeah. And so, but here's the thing: I've met a lot of these guys. Look, I worked for John Paul II for a month in 1997. I know cardinals and bishops. You've met these guys. I saw the picture outside. You were mentioning, where's the leaders in the Catholic Church? I saw outside Fulton Sheen, a picture of you and him. Yeah. When you look up, you say there was a time where we had men in the church, leaders, presidents, who were fearless in the fray. I'm not judging anybody, as you said. I'm not a cardinal or a bishop. I'm just saying you recognize. So I met a lot of these guys. I met senators. I met Clinton, Gore. And when Trump came in that room, you can't fake deference like he showed. He knew who Phyllis was. He listened to her. Didn't talk at all, hardly. He said, I'll do it. He took it. He said, what else is going on? He said, how are you feeling? And he said, I think we're going to go out there. I just want to thank you for the endorsement. He was very deferential. He called her on her birthday 6 weeks later, and she was so pleased. There's reasons to quibble with tweets and policies.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, if you look at the product, we're called to look at what the fruit of our work is. And he's done some extraordinary things for people.
Well, he has substance. You see, and people don't want that. Even some of the staunch Republicans in Washington, as Lou Barletta told me, he says, Sammy, it's disgraceful because that's the swamp.
Yeah.
They've created their own, and now what he's doing is breaking them all up, and the media's going crazy, and everyone's going nuts. Now they're trying to make him a racist, and they're trying to do all this stuff, not to be a political show. But these are facts.
Yeah. Let me tell you one more story about Trump. The only other time I met him was when he came to Phyllis's funeral. And he came, and his team knew enough to say, hey, can I speak before the Mass so that the Mass isn't tied up by Secret Service? So before the Mass, he comes walking down, and I'd worked for a governor. I kind of knew how to staff him. I said, sir, we're going to go around the corner. The Schlafly family's there. The casket's in the front of the chapel, and there's about 60 Schlafly family, grandkids and all. So he walks around, he goes around the whole room. He sees everyone in his chapel. He comes back to me, and as he gets close to me, he says, I didn't get a chance to pause at the casket. Can I go back up? This is Trump. I said, yes, sir. And he walks down the middle with Melania, and he goes to the front, he puts his hand on the casket, and clearly it was a moment of prayer. But he had a sense, as you say, of himself. Look, again, disagree with tweets or policies, but as to the quality of the person, I saw it and I felt it. And so did Phyllis. And she was a better judge of anything than I was. I mean, she was a gifted, faithful woman. So pretty extraordinary.
Ed Martin, folks. Dave, go ahead before I go to break.
Sam, on that other book.
We're going to come back and talk.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
I'm here with Ed Martin, folks. He's the president of the Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. You heard about her, but the book here is Phyllis Schlafly Speaks. Her famous favorite speeches. I have not had an opportunity to read this, but I'm hoping that
I can read it aloud after the break.
Okay, he'll read it aloud after the break, and then. They can get this book, right?
Oh yeah, online. Yes,
online,
sir.
Get the book online. I'm here with Dave Moylan, folks, who introduced me to two great people, Gregory Wrightstone and Ed Martin. We're going to come back talking a little bit more about Phyllis Schlafly. Folks, those of you who are upset with me, don't be upset, because I'm talking about preserving human life, okay? And don't lie to me and tell me how great I am and tell me what I should do, and then when I do it, you don't even say thank you. You don't say thank you for doing what I wanted you to do, okay? That to me doesn't fly. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. 24/7, SSPTV.com. Watch all of our shows, our app, all the shows we produce. Remember, folks, we produce local neighborhood programming, and we're all over the place. Comcast 190 in Pottsville, every night from 7 to 11. Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Kingston on Channel 92, Saturday evenings from 7 to 11. And of course, the Lackawanna County, Comcast 190, Sunday mornings 8 to 11, Saturday and Sunday mornings. We're going to expanding our viewership in the Lackawanna area, and we'll be also expanding the Wilkes-Barre area. We're on 24/7, as you know, on Channel 13 here and HD Channel 513. With that being said, my guest today is Ed Martin, folks, great guy. Met him today, along with my good friend Dave Moylan, who is Schuylkill County Coroner. Dave, before I want you to know you're doing a great job as coroner. Okay, great. Then we're going to talk next month about what you're doing. You want to talk about this? A choice, yes. Not an echo. This is interesting.
I think one of Phyllis's first books, and it was written around the Goldwater era, and Choice, Not an Echo. Back in those days, and God, it probably continues to the present, there were kingmakers. And it's your turn. You're going to be the next presidential candidate. But she did sign that book for me. And at the convention where I met her for the first time in Cleveland in 2016, it was my privilege to push her transport chair around. And of course, there were a lot of security there, so to get her into the conference. And people were coming up to her, and they were touching her dress as if she was Mother Teresa, including John Bolton.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So it was just an honor to see this lady in the flesh.
She must have been a fabulous person. I'm sorry I didn't know that much about her. Shame on me. But Ed, you got involved. You said how you got involved. So how do you want this organization to grow? I mean, how do I help you if I'm a viewer saying, how could I help this organization?
Well, I should say our website is phyllisschlafly.com. And phyllisschlafly.com is a bit of a spelling test, but as we've been talking about, SCHLAFLY, phyllisschlafly.com. But here's what Phyllis did in her life. She was a very devout Catholic, a daily rosary and a dedicated lady. And she realized in the 40s and 50s that communists were the threat. Then in the 60s, as you say, politically, she realized that there were sort of globalists and kingmakers that were trying to control the Republican Party, and she took them on. What did she do? Over her life, she became a great writer, a great reader, a great speaker. She was shy as a kid. And what we built and what we're continuing today, and Dr. Dave here in not just this county, but Northeast Pennsylvania, has launched an effort. What we're saying to your viewers, if you want to know what's happening, we know the policy and the politics, we'll share it with you. We've got website, newsletters, books all the time. But we also want to tell you what politics means. You know, why is Dr. Dave as coroner local? Why does it matter, right? And when you understand why it matters, the policies, the accountability of government, we want to be involved with you. So we do things like this big dinner he mentioned that we had, which was great. We had Gregory Wrightstone. We do a lot of education. And again, but we also want to activate people in politics. So we have about 140 key leaders, Eagle leaders, and we have somewhere around 25,000 people who call themselves affiliated with us. We don't have a membership per se. And we ask people, if you're interested, come towards us and our work, and we'll find ways. Some people end up running for office. Some people end up volunteering. There's a lot of ways to help.
For those of you, have you ever come across anyone who doesn't agree with your viewpoints?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, what do they say to you?
Well, first I've in my head I feel bad for them because obviously they're wrong, and then I regroup, pray for them, and depends on the issues, right? We live in a world where
How about this one?
Okay, give me one. Yeah.
How about this one, Sammy? I'm a woman. It's my body, and I should decide what I should do with my body. Okay,
right.
And if I want to abort this baby, it's my decision.
Well, that's an interesting one. Let me tell you, you and I both know the argument from God's creation, and we've supported a new bill in the last few years called the Heartbeat Bill. So we say, hey, we don't want to ban abortion, because that makes people nervous. We want to stop abortion when a heartbeat is detected, a baby's protected. Because if you come upon a body, he's the coroner, you come upon a body and you listen, there's a heartbeat, you're obviously not dead. If you hear a heartbeat, and you can hear it at about 6 weeks, 4 weeks, hear a heartbeat, protection. But on this issue, I'll tell you something really important. We adjusted our thinking because there are 50 million, 100 million people who have had an abortion or participated. And you have to make room for them to forgive themselves first, right? And so one of the things is to sort of build up that, hey, we're all broken, right? We've all made terrible mistakes. And coming back from that. But what we learned from Abby Johnson and others that have either involved in abortion or had abortions is that you get more good life out of yourself when you forgive yourself and come to the position of the importance. So, but it's a big challenge. But in public policy, the way we've done it, as I mentioned, is to talk more about this heartbeat bill and about how, and and I don't mean to say this to you, it's certainly not aimed at you, but a lot of people are getting older. And a lot of this is serious. My wife's a geriatrics physician. How we treat our elders is, and we're living in a world where utility is life. That's not what God teaches us, right? So we've got to kind of grow our, we don't give up our position, but grow our way of talking about how valuable life is.
You brought an interesting point. My major audience is 55 plus, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure I'm going to get younger, but a lot of seniors watch the show. And so some of them say, well, I'm 75 years old, I'm 68, I'm not going to have a baby. And I'm telling them, you better be concerned about this pro-choice movement.
Yeah.
Tell them why.
Well, Mother Teresa used to say, if a culture will, if mothers will kill their babies, they'll do anything, right? I mean, that's what Mother Teresa would say. But more practically, we're living in a world. You started to say this when people attack you, where some people don't want to listen. When they don't want to listen, you can't change them. You have to move. You have to move past it. Come back if you can. But real quickly on this one, on the end of life. We're blessed by healthcare. Guys like Dr. Dave who keep us living longer. But the end of life, just like the beginning of life, is as valuable as today. And we've got to figure out how to treasure that. And our culture wants to say, if you're not useful, if you're inconvenient, I don't want to be bothered. If you're inconvenient as a baby, I don't want to be bothered. If you're inconvenient as an elder, I don't want to be bothered. That's not what God teaches. That's not what brings life. It's a big challenge.
It's called Obamacare, I think.
That's part of it.
It's called Obamacare. Dr. Greco, I remember many years ago, told me about when this Obamacare, the seniors, beware because they become inconvenient, and that's exactly right. For those people, I'm no saint by no means. I pray for those people every day, Ed, because they need a lot of prayers. Yeah. They really do. I mean, when I see these young women and these women fighting, and they have this, I'm pro-choice, and if I want to get rid of my baby, I feel sorry for them. I really do. I don't hate them. I feel sorry for them, don't you?
Yeah. Well, in fact, down in Washington, I spent a lot of time in the swamp, but I'm not of the swamp. I'm in the swamp. And Alyssa Milano is a very famous actress, activist. Yeah. 2 or 3, I don't know when it was, she did recently a podcast where she said, when I was in my 20s, I had 2 abortions in 6 months. And I saw it and I thought, and she was justifying her position. She said, it wasn't convenient at the time, I wouldn't have had this career. And I remember thinking, for every person who had a miscarriage in their family, or a baby they lost, or a child they lost, the heartbreak. And also I thought of her. She needs healing too, and she's a dynamo. I've seen her in the halls of Congress. But you're right, and again, back to the thing, we're all broken, we're all sinners, and in this country, we've been a country that forgives our failings. This is one of the things the media is doing. They say, you have to admit you as a culture are racist, you have to admit you're sexist. Wait a second, we all do better, but this is the greatest country on earth on all those topics. You go to other countries and see if they're racist and sexist. So we got to do better. And but there's a sadness in some of this intensity of people's hate. But hate doesn't get you anywhere too happy.
I pray for them. She's such a disappointment to me. And then you have Barbara Streisand, you have this Beth Midler, don't have sex because of Louisiana. It's just, they condone what I showed before, that unborn baby. Right. It's clear they condone pulling those arms and legs. I can't understand that, Dave. I mean, I just blows my mind. Maybe I'm a goof. I have no idea. Okay, Ed, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Good to be with you.
Dave, it's always nice seeing you. We'll be hearing a lot more from you before the election. Wish you well.
Thank you.
I'll be playing the show
Great.
throughout the year.
We appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Remember, you can help them, folks. And what's the name of it? It's called
It's PhyllisSchlafly.com, the Phyllis Schlafly Eagle Forum you can search for, but PhyllisSchlafly.com is the best way to get to our stuff.
Now you say that name real fast, folks. Schlafly. It's SCHLAFLY,
Yeah.
right? Phyllis. Okay. Go to the website if you could help them out. We'd appreciate it. We'll see you next time.